19th of February, 2:38 p.m., Briar Road. It looks as though the police are still here, carrying on with their investigation.
Perfect. So let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible.
Yes, and let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at that silver tip Iris gave us for him. Actually, can I talk to him at all? No. Okay, so just present. I want to examine.
This is a 5-shilling piece, isn't it? I believe it's called a crown.
Yes, and you can train a Scotland Yard detective to do whatever you want with just a single one.
Iris must be the most powerful 10-year-old in the world.
How much was 5 shillings, by the way? What's it really worth?
Well, it's probably enough to buy all the chips the inspector could possibly eat in a whole month.
That's greasy. Iris's little handwriting is adorable, isn't it?
Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem.
Yes, the handwriting might be adorable, but the message is ominous. There's no room for sentiment in there.
I'm sure it's simply the way you're interpreting it, Mr. Naruhodo. Anyway, I do hope the inspector will tell us what we need to know when he reads it.
You don't think it will just make him munch piping hot chips until steam comes out of his ears, do you?
Well, that wouldn't be an entirely terrible outcome.
Okay, and I think that's everything that I can examine on here. Yeah, okay. So, present. Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment?
I'm sorry to say I don't. I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair of foreign gadabouts, that's for sure.
We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson.
What? From me? From her ladyship?
Her ladyship?
Give that here, at once! Come on, hand it over, that's for me!
Well, let me turn down the mic just a little bit. That might be a little too much. That might be a little too much. That should be good. Okay. Don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What was that coin exactly?
It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's an appearance fee, that's what it is.
An appearance fee? Oh, I see. You mean...
That's right, for the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me, every time.
Yes, of course. I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly.
Of course, her using my name without my say-so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still.
I am sorry, Inspector. That must be difficult for you.
Never you mind that. So, what do you want to know then, eh?
Sorry?
Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem, it says. Well, obviously it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What do you want to know?
Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector, we'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsume's lodgings.
Oh, the little knife-wielding mustache Japanese fellow. He lives in a right old hovel. It's just over there, look. On the first floor of that house, on the corner where that wreck of a bicycle's propped up.
That is nearby indeed.
If I remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Garrideb. Right, well, if you see her again, you make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? I mean it. You tell her that Gregson sends his very best wishes.
Don't worry, Inspector. We will.
Goodbye for now, then. And long live her ladyship.
That was definitely not the voice I gave him last Friday, but oh well.
Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left.
Yes, so then, shall we go and see what we can find in Mr. Natsume's lodgings?
Definitely.
Okay, so now if I examine this, it's new information. Cool.
That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it was a long and interesting history.
Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. In fact, it looks decidedly worse shape than the other houses around here.
According to Inspector Gregson, that's the house where Mr. Natsume has lodgings.
Just across the road from where the incident took place, I see. It must be awful for Soseki-san, getting caught up in something like this in a foreign land. Okay. So now if we move, a new location has been added. No, I didn't read these. The home and office of the world-famous great detective and his young companion, Iris. It seems people from all over the globe come to engage his consulting detective services.
The workplace of the world's greatest detective. Oh, it's a dream come true.
The lodgings of Mr. Soseki's Natsume, according to information gleaned from Inspector Gregson. Okay. 19th of... Whoa. 19th of February, Mr. Natsume's lodgings. Oh God.
May I help you?
Ah, yes. Would this be the residence of Mr. John Garadeb?
Indeed it would, sir. And who may I say is calling?
My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Mr. Naruhodo is representing Mr. Soseki Natsume. I believe he takes lodgings here.
Oh, that was an interesting smile.
We would very much like to ask him some questions about our client.
What is she doing?
One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Garadeb.
Did you see that, Mr. Sato? That was a real-life English maid.
I know. As I understand it, anyone of standing in English society employs a number of household staff. But that was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh. Oh, this day keeps getting better.
It certainly feels like we've really arrived now, doesn't it?
We need only to meet a butler and the experience will be complete.
Well, I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but I understand the sentiment.
Thank you for waiting. Mr. Garadeb will see you now. This way.
Ooh. That's gonna be an interesting voice, I can already tell.
Good day to you. John Garadeb at your service.
I don't know if that's gonna be the voice for him, but we'll see.
Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. He's a defense lawyer.
Do excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of Meiwan, don't you know? Earned a medal for my pains, but had to withdraw from service. Handed over the reins to the up-and-comings.
So he's a retired soldier.
It's a hell of a job getting up and down stairs now, I can tell you. Don't get out much, as you can imagine.
Yes, it's quite a climb up here to the second floor, isn't it? I was panting at the top of the stairs.
You really must take more exercise, Mr. Naruhodo.
Do you think so?
Well, Mr. Garrett, no doubt you were very courageous to earn yourself a medal.
Oh, it was nothing. The medal's just a folderol. Really? Wouldn't like to offend the general, though, so I begrudgingly... That's how he would talk. So I grudgingly displayed it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joanne? Let these good people see it properly. Joanne, fetch the... Oh! Dash it all, woman! Be careful!
Oh, dearly me! I do beg your pardon, sir.
You jolly nearly took the skin off my hands.
I shall be more careful, sir.
So anyway, there you have it. Living the quiet life now.
Yes, I see.
Now then, I hear you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right?
Yes, we would be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us.
Only too pleased, naturally. Especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blighty. We forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware. So this case is very much in the public eye, as it were.
Oh, is it?
Even had some famous detective poking around, you know. In this old house, would you believe?
Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Could have been. Didn't catch the chap's name. Not really my cup of tea, all that detective business.
Oh, but you have a copy of Rand's magazine here, so...
No.
Anyway, the chap's investigating the foreigner's room as we speak.
So he's in Seki-san's room.
It's a bally nuisance, is what it is. The whole neighborhood's twitching its curtains now. I don't like all this fuss. It's jolly unsettling.
Whew. Okay. I got this. I can do this. I can do this. This voice is a little scratchy on my throat, but shouldn't be too bad. About Mr. Natsume.
About Mr. Natsume then, Mr. Garrett, please do tell us.
Ah, yes, the Japanese chap. Only been lodging here for a week.
Oh, just 1 week? So he moved in very recently then?
I have 2 lodgers most of the time. One on the ground floor and one just below us. The first floor room became available a week ago, you see. They'd been... Ah! Dash it all, Joanne. Do be careful.
Oh, my goodness. I'm terribly sorry, sir. If you want to know my opinion, I thought he was a shady sort from the moment I set eyes on him.
Oh? Why?
He seemed to have a most nervous disposition. Everyone just talks very weirdly, it seems. He seemed to have a most nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. The man had shady written across his sweat-soaked brow, if you ask me. I said to myself, Joanne, that man is trouble. Sooner or later he's going to do something untoward. And I'm rarely wrong about anything.
We won't be calling this maid for a witness, that's for sure.
Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all?
Why does she do that face?
Yes, oh yes indeed there was.
And she's dying to tell us. I might have to go blow my nose in a second. I'm starting to get a bit of a stuffy nose. That's weird. The shady lodger. Had you noticed anything else at all about your lodger, Mr. Natsume? Mr. Natsume.
Oh my word, yes! The man was shadier than an orchard.
Could you elaborate?
Well, take the man's room. Absolutely stuffed full of books it is, more than anyone could ever read. And and he never so much as passes the time of day with another living soul. I haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots off to that old bookshop every single day and comes back at 5 to light the gas fire. And the funny little man is up long past the time everyone else in the house has gone to bed too.
Oh, I see.
The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed at around 9 each night. But I've never known that Japanese fella to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning.
Ah. I like doing her voice. It is a little bit it's a little trying, but I honestly really do like doing the voice.
Could you clarify something, I wonder? What, pray?
How do you know so much about Mr. Natsume's routine?
Oh!
I'd understood that neither lodgers live on this floor of the house, is that correct?
That's right, yes, they're both below us, on the first floor and street level.
Then how is it that you know so much about the lives of your lodgers? The precise times that they come back in the evening, for example, even the times they go to bed.
Good grief, Joanne! Be more careful, woman!
Oh my goodness, sir! I'm terribly sorry, sir!
Something doesn't add up here. Okay, the incident 2 days ago. It seems that the incident took place at around 5 in the evening. Did you happen to look out of the window at around that time?
The window?
Yes, we noticed that the window over there looks out over Briar Road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby?
5 o'clock is dinner time in the Girdeb household. So I'm afraid I don't remember seeing anything. How about you, Joanne?
No, sir. It would have been dusk outside already at that hour. And with the fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road.
Oh, I see. Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then?
Such as?
Anything at all, even if it seems unrelated.
Well...
Yes? Was there something then?
Well, it's nothing particularly significant, but at around that sort of time here, there... Ah! For the love of God, Joanne! Watch what you're doing!
Oh, dearie me! What have I done? I'm awfully sorry, sir.
Do be more careful, woman!
Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Narrow Hollow. If I may, Mr. Narrow Hollow.
Yes?
I have an exceedingly good memory, and as far as I remember, nothing of any significance took place here at that hour. Nothing at all.
Oh, really? Mr. Girdeb? The way you were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been.
Oh, well, as I was saying, it was just a trifling matter, really. Nothing of... Ah! Joanne, dash it all! What is the matter with you, woman?
Begging your pardon, sir. Nothing happened.
Yes, quite. Nothing happened. We sat down to a quiet, uneventful meal, Joanne?
That's right, Mr. Girdeb.
What is the matter with these two? It sounds like something happened here in this room on the evening of the incident, but what? I wish I knew. Sorry, I got really entranced by the music for a second. Okay, Mr. Natsume's room. What I'll probably do is I'll get to Mr. Natsume's room, or I'll get through all of this dialogue. Go to a little small break again, blow my nose, take care of all that, and then get back and try and finish part 2 at least. Could you tell us which floor Mr. Natsume's room is on?
Why, certainly. Just below us on the first floor.
And Mr. Sholmes is investigating there even as we speak?
Yes, told me that's his name. I asked him to look into the matter, so I gave him the key.
Mr. Natsume has engaged Mr. Sholmes' services?
That's a blatant lie. Would it be alright if we also had a look around? In Mr. Natsume's room, I mean.
Don't see why not. It's just down one flight of stairs.
Who knows if we'll find anything that could help us with the case, but we have to try. We need all the clues we can lay our hands on, shall we?
Yes, and while we're there, we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again. Perhaps he'll be able to tell us more.
And I can examine this room a little as well. There's a lot to examine in here. I'll probably do that. So I wanted to examine all this stuff first, and then we could go to Mr. Natsume's room. Look at this crockery on display here. It's rather unusual, isn't it?
Oh my, a genuine London dresser. Isn't it delightful? Although the shelves seem to be broken and the crockery is... Oh dear, it's in pieces.
It really is. The word cracked wouldn't do that chinaware justice.
Ah, I wonder. Perhaps the cannon was fired at it.
Yes, probably something like that. But let's not delve too deeply here. Okay, window, that stuff, that. The metal. I think examining just this area will do that. The garment and the cannon. Oh, and the books. Okay. Let's examine the window.
This window looks out over Briar Road, where the young woman was attacked.
Oh yes, I can make out the policeman on the far side of the road investigating the crime scene.
The glass is rather murky, isn't it? You can't see very clearly.
Does this thing open at all, I wonder?
I shouldn't underestimate the bitterness of a London winter, sir.
Sorry?
As soon as you open that window, the tea will freeze in the pot. No Londoner would go opening windows at dusk in the middle of winter, I assure you.
It seems very unlikely that these two would have seen anything of the incident then. Okay, the table.
Oh, look! Look! What a wonderful collection of cakes lined up on that gleaming silver cake stand.
Lined up? It looks more like someone has half demolished them to me.
Afternoon tea is a time of indulgence, you know. It is quite the English way. It is Mr. Garrideb's custom to take 2 cakes with his tea.
That sounds delightful. Oh, wait a minute though. There are at least 10 cakes on this cake stand.
Well, naturally. It would never do to waste the leftovers. So whatever Mr. Garrideb doesn't eat, I say to myself, Joanne, you should have to tidy up.
How magnanimous of you. I'm the same way. I eat leftovers. A lot. Okay.
Look at that enormous screen. It must have been put there deliberately, surely.
Yes, it certainly seems like someone's trying to hide something from view. What could be behind it, I wonder?
I'm going to have a very quick look, just a little peek.
There we go. Maybe let's not, Mr. Sato. I think the maid is going to head us off with a cup of tea. Okay. I think that's everything that I'll need to move over to see. So, examine this.
That looks like a Medal of Honor, and it's showcased on a very grand banner.
Yes, it's displayed with some pride, I would say. Although it bothers me that it's not straight.
What's that old thing?
Sorry?
I should be glad to see the back of it, but the general would turn in his grave if I disposed of it. The wall's the best place for it. Keeps the bally thing out of my way.
So it's just been polished to shine by accident, I suppose?
There appears to be an inscription on the medal itself. Look. Let me see. It says, "For distinguished participation."
It sounds like the kind of honors even I could be in line for.
Well, one doesn't like to blow one's own trumpet, but I was given that for my time in the army. Can't measure an officer by the number of medals to his name, of course. Common knowledge in military circles.
Oh, these are actually different things on the wall. Never mind. Okay, now the the picture of him. That portrait of Mr. Garrett is glaring at me, I swear.
Have you noticed that all the little frames contain photographic prints of Mr. Garrett as well?
Yes, and there seems to be a statue of a lion on the mantelpiece as well.
Ah, yes. Seemed to come back from the local pawnbroker with that little trinket.
Seemed to come back? What do you mean?
The chap who runs the place is a bally wizard. Went in to sell him something and came out with that thing. In point of fact, now I think about it, I rather often find myself leaving the place with something I don't need.
The lion ornament certainly does seem surplus to requirements.
Susato-san doesn't pull her punches. Or her throws, for that matter. And now, are those mortar shells? They're enormous.
Ah, I hadn't noticed. What are they doing here?
Ah, those old things. Couple of little rounds I accidentally fired into the barracks during training, you know. Became a bit of colorful regiment folklore, that incident.
You mean you deliberately hunted out the spent shells?
Well, I wouldn't say deliberately exactly. They're only scrap iron after all, usually just thrown away, I believe. But you never know when things might come in useful, do you?
Useful for what exactly?
Yes, well. Joanne here did manage to knock one of the bally things on my foot the other day while she was dusting.
Oh no!
Hadn't shed a tear since 1869 before then, you know.
Maybe reconsider throwing them away? Okay, so 3 more things. Hopefully. Unless the dress is its own thing. Or apron. Is that an apron? I think that's an apron. That uniform looks fairly ancient, doesn't it?
It's clearly been well looked after, though.
That old thing? Pah! Not much better than rags, really.
Oh?
Wore that ceremonial garb at my retirement bash, you know. But I'm not one for dwelling on the past me. Would have gladly thrown it out, but you know how it is. Anyway, doesn't hurt to have the odd piece of memorabilia lying around, does it?
Oh, I see.
Perhaps we should leave the past in the past. Wait, can I examine the sword? I do not... No, I can't. Okay, I'm going to leave the cannon for last. I notice you have a pile of books here, Mr. Garrideb. Do you enjoy reading?
Ever experienced a London winter, boy? The nights are long. No better way to pass the time than in front of the fire with a jolly good book.
Oh, there's a copy of Rand's magazine here, I see. No doubt Mr. Garrett enjoys the adventures of Sherlock Holmes too. The great detective has a great many followers, it would seem.
And now the cannon.
That's a full-size cannon! What's it doing here? In here? Oh my, it's real! I thought it might be a replica.
That old thing? Bah, that's little more than a toy.
Sorry?
The army was selling it off when I retired, so I decided to give it a new home. Never know when the enemy might attack next. Jolly useful to have a cannon about the house.
Really? It isn't overkill?
Be prepared, as I always say. You never know what this twisted world is going to throw at you. You never know what this twisted world is going to throw at you next, boy.
Do you think there may be trouble brewing, Mr. Garrett?
Always is. Take Joanne here. Never fails to have a clean apron in reserve. Tries them over the barrel, you see. They dry very well on the cannon there, Joanne tells me. Which rather proves my point, I feel.
It's been reduced to a drying rack. No wonder the huge cannon looks like it's hanging its head in shame. Okay. I think that's... whoa. 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 Nope, that's everything. Okay. Alright, now... The suite on the top floor of the Garrett household occupied by the landlord, Mr. Garrett, and his wife. It said maid. Okay. I guess there's been less obvious twists. Whatever. The window looks out over Briar Road below.
Even when they're a little worse for wear, English rooms are so splendidly colorful.
A small dark room rented by a visiting scholar from the Empire of Japan by the name of Soseki Natsume. Oh, geez.
Oh, and there's a cat. Look at the cat. Look at the cat.
19th of February, Mr. Natsume's room.
What? Just look at this place. And smell it. It's so musty in here.
I suppose it's the mountains of old books that are responsible for that.
I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all my life.
No, me neither. It's so dark in here, too.
Is that the window over there?
Well, it was the window, I think, yes. Once upon a time. But for some reason, it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. So this is where Mr. Natsume lives.
By the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere, have you?
No, that's true. But according to what Mr. Garrett told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating. I'm going to examine the cat first. Oh, it's animated!
Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master is away.
I don't know about that. He disappeared into that pile of books as quick as a flash. It was a tricolor Mikey, wasn't it? Do they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain? Or Mike? Tricolor Mike? Yeah, I think he was trying to say, it was trying to show Mike, so it's Mike. A tricolor Mike, okay.
Perhaps Mr. Natsume brought the little creature with him from Japan.
That's made me feel homesick now.
Already? We've only been in the country for 2 days.
He's gonna be... Oh, never mind. I thought he would be, like, on top of the books or something. Look at all those books stacked up there. They almost reach the ceiling.
They're all works of English literature, and they all smell so musty.
With this volume of books to hand, you'd never be short of reading material, wouldn't you?
No, what a dreamy idea.
A bad dream, maybe. For me, at least. Mind you, I don't imagine the book that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again.
Ah, so reading it is an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as the tea ceremony teaches us.
I certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn down the path of tea ceremony philosophy. Okay, so I can examine the lucky cat. I can examine the breaker box. Whoops. I think that's a breaker box. Nothing over here. I can examine the window, quote unquote window. Okay, and all of this is the same as the book thing, so there's nothing to examine over here. Okay, so lucky cat, power breaker, window, desk. I'll do the lucky cat first.
Oh, look! It's a beckoning cat from home!
It's a bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Mr. Natsume didn't bring that Maneki Neko all the way from Japan with him. Or Maneki. Yeah, Maneki Neko all the way from Japan with him.
I hardly think you're in a position to comment, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you forgetting the enormous Daruma doll that you brought in your luggage?
Well, it can be dangerous traveling abroad. I wanted the lucky charm.
Well, I imagine Mr. Natsume wanted the same, and this cat is sure to beckon good luck to him.
It's not doing a very good job so far, is it?
You mustn't say such things.
I didn't say a word. Why are my eyes such a giveaway? Okay, so I'm assuming that the desk might have something important on it. So let's do the breaker box. Man, my nose is already a little clogged up again. That's so weird. This appears to be some sort of meter on the wall. It looks very robust. I wonder what it's here for. There's a slot for inserting coins here too.
Ah, I believe that is a gas meter, Mr. Naruhodo.
A gas meter?
Yes, it seems there is piped gas in this district, which consumers pay for by putting coins in the meter.
So if we were to put a coin in the slot,
that would be enough gas to use the lights in the gas fire for the whole night.
So if you're too poor to have a coin, you'd have to spend the night in the dark and freezing cold?
That's right. As would a rich man who only carried crisp white notes.
Ugh. London is a scary place. Interesting. Okay, window. Could you even call this a window?
I think so. It was a window at one time, after all. Although all that remains is a frame around some bricks now.
So really it's just a wall then, isn't it? But why would anyone deliberately brick it up like that?
I'm afraid I have no idea. Ah! Perhaps Mr. Natsume painted the brick design on in a
God, everyone's messing up their words tonight. What is up?
Perhaps Mr. Natsume painted the brick design on in a fit of whimsy.
That's alarmingly feasible. Anyway, whatever the reason, the lack of ventilation in here makes the place very oppressive.
It does. I imagine being cooped up in a room like this would be extremely trying.
Okay, now the desk.
That desk seems to be wedged into a crevice between the mountains of books on either side.
I suppose Mr. Natsume would sit there and read while stroking his cat. But surrounded on all sides by these towering old tomes, surely he dreamt of books every night as well.
Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a second-hand bookshop. Your books.
Oh yes, Mr. Natsume's name is on it. Look, and the date of purchase. 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. That's the day of the incident.
That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books.
Second-hand book receipt has been entered into the court record. A receipt discovered in Mr. Natsume's room for some books that he had purchased from a second-hand bookshop before the incident occurred. And now, Mr. Sholmes. Oh, never mind. Is he really not here? There he is. I knew he would be over here.
Ah, look, Mr. Naruhodo.
Aha, there he is. Where did he appear from?
He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope he won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, you two. Good day. Now, let me see. Where was it that we met?
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Birdia.
Yes, of course, the Birdia. Elementary, my dear Watson. And let me see, what happened on that voyage?
It was Kazuma Asogi. He died, tragically. But you were a great help to us.
Ah, yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it?
Oh!
Well, you seem to remember something of it, at least.
What an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, jeez. Oh, to be remembered vaguely by the great Sherlock Holmes.
This is Mr.
Oh, no, my dear madame. Hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Susato.
Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes.
I lose the first round. Elementary, my dear Watson. I'm trying to keep a voice for him. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the day we arrived in London. But some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes.
So they apprehended Saseki-san in that short of an amount of time?
I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvements a little.
A little?
It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. Elementary, my dear Watson.
I'm going to keep saying that throughout this just so then I can try and keep the voice, but I'm probably not going to do well on that.
I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure entitled A Study in Scarlet.
Please, there's no need to quote yourself.
I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately my associate pens them beautifully.
He means Iris, I suppose.
Mr. Sholmes, we have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned.
Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madame, I should be only too pleased. And this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case.
So now I can present. I'm going to present my armband.
Mr. Naruhodo, please. Despite aspersions to the contrary, I am a professional. If I am to unleash my detective powers on that trinket, I must ask for a sum of 3 pounds in cash.
Oh, I don't need you to make any deductions about it. I was just wondering if you might know.
Mr. Naruhodo, as a professional, I insist that if I am to offer my opinion on that trinket, I must ask for a sum of 3 pounds in cash.
I believe Mr. Sholmes has his eye on an expensive copy of The Complete Works of Shakespeare.
Yes, to stand on the stage amid rapturous applause. It has long been a dream of mine, as you know.
I literally had no idea. Go.
Oh, jeez, my nose.
We know this to be the lodgings of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Natsume. It seems that you insisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road.
Natsume. Yes, I believe it was a name rather along those lines.
But Mr. Natsume denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little?
I'm sorry, Miss Sato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean.
What? I can't believe he was looking Susato-san squarely in the eyes while feigning ignorance.
I assure you, I am not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair of you were under some misapprehension.
Oh? How?
I assure you, I have no recollection of accusing your stupid compatriot of the crime.
But that doesn't make sense.
The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request to me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene.
Ah, a man seen fleeing.
There are a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene. From the elementary, my dear Watson. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there is a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question.
So you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit then?
That I could not tell you. But it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books, I found myself quite lost in bibliophily. Do not be deceived into believing that I am a man of leisure. No, no, no.
No, no, no. That sounds more Italian. No, no, no. Oh, French. French, not Italian French. Oh dear. Mr. Garadeb, the landlord.
Tell me. Have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings?
Yes, Mr. Garadeb, a retired military man. It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the Great British Institution that is the services. And it was the first time I've ever met a maid from the Great British Institution that is service. I didn't think it was that funny.
I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid.
Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain primer.
And so conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standing of the dwelling therein.
Betoken their social standing? Sorry?
Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. In the upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family.
Goodness, how extraordinary!
As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between the middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance.
I had no idea.
and it is for precisely that reason that I found great stimulation in the situation upstairs. Specifically, in the retired Army veteran Mr. John Girardin.
Oh?
Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am as yet unable to ascertain.
I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say. The Dinghy Room.
This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later.
Mr. Natsume has stabbed no one.
Ah, but sooner or later is as I said.
I don't believe that's the issue here. About this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea?
No window?
Well, I mean, I can clearly see that there is a window of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with bricks.
Ah, I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax.
Window tax? What is that? Surely not a tax on windows.
Precisely that.
Oh my goodness!
Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home perhaps, rapidly closed windows up. Elementary, my dear Watson. While the rich opened windows here, there, and everywhere, in an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with large sums of tax money.
How awful and unjust! Forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light.
Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So some 40 years ago, or thereabouts, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squalid lodgings such as these, for example.
I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps.
It would appear so. I've done a little digging, and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price.
Because the room is so awful, I should think. Oh, that awful peaked the mic a little. Apparently, Mr. Natsume only moved in here about 1 week ago.
Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation.
Oh?
Still, that is of little relevance here. Everyone is messing up their words tonight. I can't understand it. A matter not worthy of further attention.
Are you sure? I'm curious now.
Okay. Well, I believe I've told you all I can now.
Thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law?
You remembered that, did you?
Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it?
I'm not sure.
Not sure? On what grounds?
Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday.
Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized, and so promptly, too.
The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? To trust in their innocence?
Yes, trust.
Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he?
My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea.
Oh, but I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate?
Ah, yes, that was indeed my initial intention. But there are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them.
Oh, I see.
Nevertheless,
There are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. Ah, and one more thing. Elementary, my dear Watson.
Oh, what is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us.
I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance to this case, but I am quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something.
Mr. Garrideb is? Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he?
Anyway, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case.
Mr. Naruhodo, as yet our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence.
No, you're right.
Perhaps it's time we probed a little deeper into Mr. Garrideb's secret.
Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo.
And then he leaves. A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. Okay, I'll leave him alone. Okay, so let's go to Garrideb's room, and then hopefully we'll be at the end of part 2 soon. What I'll probably do is I'll play until the end of part 2, which, considering that the last part, I guess, no, that should be fine. Because also I kind of took my time last time as well, so. Yeah, that should be fine. 19th of February, Mr. Garrideb's room.
Ah, you pair again. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, still hard at work down there?
Mr. Sherlock Sholmes?
Ah, yes, rings a vague bell. All that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid.
Well, Mr. Sholmes is in his element down there. I will definitely have to take a Ricola after this, though.
Jolly good show. Another cup of tea, if you please, Joanne. Now then, why don't you tell me what... Ah! For the umpteenth time, woman, will you watch what you're bally well doing?
I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir.
Ah, yes, of course. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave, if you'd be so kind.
Oh yes, of course. We are deeply grateful for all your assistance.
Not at all, not at all. Don't get much chance to talk with young foreigners like yourselves. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck and all that. Perhaps you could see yourselves out.
According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garrideb is hiding something. And since no other avenues of investigation seem open to us at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging. What? Why are you up here now? What? What are you doing? Why are you up here? What are you doing? Okay, guess I'll examine Sholmes. Ah, what's he doing over there? Mr. Sholmes!
Aha! We meet again, my dear fellows. Good gracious, when did you sneak in here?
Sherlock Sholmes, sir, at your service.
Whatever were you doing over...
Whatever were you doing over by the window?
I am given to... Elementary, my dear Watson. I am given to watching the evening sky as the sun sets, madame. Yet sadly, cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture for such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here.
Well?
Keeping an eye into one's windows at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. Ah, and one other thing, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, me? I thought perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind. Wait, he's not talking about... Is he? I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon.
Do you mean Mr. Sholmes? Do you mean Mr. Sholmes?
There is a mighty secret in this modest room. My eyes see even the most trivial of trifles. Elementary, my dear Watson. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruhodo.
I think so.
There is just time enough for one of my greatly admired great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before dark.
I kind of just defaulted to the old voice I gave him before, but kind of fits with what I like, so I'm gonna keep it.
Mr. Girdeb, though it would seem you are a military man of considerably distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one might call first rate. I'm afraid, sir, that is all too clear to me. There are two conclusions I have been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements. I beg your pardon? The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Oh!
Mr. Naruhodo, look! The old man's broken out in a cold sweat. Unbelievably, it seems Mr. Sholmes' conclusions are both spot on.
How could you possibly? How could I possibly know, you mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. Oh! And I know only too well that wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular.
The great deduction. The game is afoot. Elementary, my dear Watson. Nature of the beast. Topic 1.
It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? For a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Girdeb, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. Yes, though an army man, you appear unimposing at best. A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty lion, the king of beasts. What is this piffle, I ask you? In the end, your admiration became so great, in fact, that you had a living, breathing specimen shipped from India, which you tried to keep in this very house. What?
Ooh, he got slapped.
Yet living with such a wild beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence.
Well.
Yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself.
Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madame?
Me?
I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it's plain to me with one glance in your direction.
It is?
Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. For protruding from it is a handbill advertising a circus show.
Oh!
Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Gyarados, at Batty's Circus, a traveling show currently sojourning in a nearby park. Elementary, my dear Watson. I have observed the tents. You sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe.
I most certainly did not.
I believe I have made my point. The fearsome beast which ran amok in this room was an Indian lion. And a simple visit to the circus now will reveal the lion prancing jubilantly through a ring of fire. A rampaging Asiatic lion. Topic 2. Aftermath. Now, Mr. Gyarados, it is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. He got slapped. Indeed. In the blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Amid fits of tears, you let your beloved beast go. The strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible in your visage.
Nonsense, man. I simply...
But what, we must now ask ourselves, is the true cause of this pain? And she slapped him. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it is this pile of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment.
Oh!
For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on the financial circumstances of your household. And so you had no choice but to let it go.
Yes, well,
Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack.
Oh, unimaginable?
The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I am not mistaken.
Oh, dearie me.
What could have caused such a destructive outburst? Oh, jeez. My voice is starting to give out. This time, madame, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes. There is no creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not once said by a certain noblewoman, if they have no bread, let them eat cake? Food is at the heart of all tragedy, in fact.
Whatever do you mean?
Having tired of the taste of cake, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I need not spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. There is only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. The teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. Carpet gnawed on by the starving lion. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this beastly puzzle.
matter with you, Joanne? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garrett. I'm afraid I didn't notice.
My deductions can be startlingly sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Indeed, my revelations can make people spill tears at times too.
Oh.
Mr. Sholmes, sorry to butt in again, but could I make an observation?
Why, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo. What is it? Again.
Well, your deductions just now. Do you really think a lion could have fit inside a room of this size?
Indeed, it is the only explanation for the facts. The terrifying truth all too often lies beyond the realms of common sense.
But wouldn't it be an idea to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well?
But if an uncaged lion had run amok in this very room, surely Mr. Garrideb and his maid would have been hurt, or worse.
Ah, that's where you are stuck. No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon.
I thought you said that they sold the lion to the circus.
And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing. But I don't believe I have ever heard of a lion that drinks tea.
Ah, my dear Miss Susato, it occurs to me with some regularity that irrespective of race and breeding, whenever anyone lands on Great British soil, they are infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea.
Oh! What a glorious notion! Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's your turn to shine again.
I had a feeling that that was coming.
A slight massage. That's all Mr. Sholmes' deductions need. You can do it.
Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deduction to step forward, Mr. Naruhodo.
We don't even know yet whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsume's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile, whatever the motivation. At least, that's what I want to believe.
Let us start again from the beginning of Sherlock Holmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular.
Course correction.
Hold it, Mr. Sholmes.
Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Nature of the beast, a rampaging Asiatic lion.
It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus, we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? For a man with military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Oi! Your furtive glance, Mr. Garrideb, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue.
I really didn't see the lion thing coming.
No, but if you observe Mr. Garrideb's reaction...
Oh, sorry about that crunch. That was me finishing off the Ricola.
It rather seems as though some beast did indeed run amok here in this room.
Yes, something with a very fierce nature.
But it couldn't have been a lion transported from India.
So what was it then?
We must follow Mr. Garrideb's gaze. That will lead us to the true answer.
Oh, what is that? What's this photograph?
It appears to be from Mr. Garrideb's wedding. He looks very happy, doesn't he?
He does, but you can't make out his bride.
No, how unfortunate. Something must have struck the glass directly over the woman's face.
I wonder what happened. Probably best not to not to delve too deeply there. Okay. So, what the answer is probably is true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. Actually, I think what they're wanting me to do is to do the mortar shells. Because, you know, cannon, mortar shells, all that kind of stuff. But I think the actual reasoning is that you click on this. And it's the Newlywed Bride. Which is Joanne. Because... Or maybe not. I don't know.
Take that!
Yep, there we go. Newlywed Bride. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that Newlywed Bride.
Precisely, Mr. Naruhodo. No other explanation could possibly fit. Yes, this framed print pictures your wife, Mr. Gyarados. Pictures your wife, Mr. Gyarados. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured,
we can still make out her mighty arms and note the considerable horsepower they must contain.
Oh, indeed. Surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honored to be described as a beast.
Honored might be stretching a point.
Too late. The fact that remains that the beast, which so clearly savaged this room, was your wife, Mr. Gyarados. Roar! The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence.
Well.
Yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madame?
Me?
I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction.
It is?
Wait.
It is? It is?
Yeah, I think I think that was about the voice.
Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue, blah, blah, blah.
The poor, fragile, defenseless woman is beside herself.
Well, I don't know about fragile.
Oh, dear. Anyway, Mr. Sholmes is quite right. There's no sign of a Mrs. Gyarados anywhere.
But it seems there may be a clue as to her whereabouts. A clue that this maid is trying to hide. I wonder where Mr. Gyarados' wife could be. Oh, I have to point out the wedding ring. She's wearing a very large ring, look!
Oh yes, a sunflower design with some rather nice embellishments. And it's on the ring finger of her left hand, which means it's surely a wedding ring.
It looks like it's on there for life too. I can't imagine it would slide off a finger of that size.
That's something to think of, Mr. Naruhodo, not to say. Do you know, Mr. Gyarados' wife in the photograph had a ring very much like this one. It was a large sunflower design as well.
Really? You have a great memory for these things. A large sunflower wedding ring. It's quite a coincidence that they have the same ring, isn't it? Okay, so what was... Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. Yeah, okay, so...
Take that!
Do the wedding ring. Your wedding ring gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts.
Oh!
Indeed it does. That flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. For it is identical to the one shown on the hand of Mr. Garrideb's bride in this photographic print. In other words, you are no ordinary household maid. No. You are Mr. Garrideb's lucky bride. You are Mrs. Garrideb herself.
Oh my word!
Okay, so that's one topic.
Well, jolly fine detecting, sir.
Give me a second, I need to drink some water. No, I don't need to drink some water, that was a stupid idea. Ugh. Okay, that wasn't as bad as before. Come on, screw back on, thank you.
As you rightly surmise, this is the wife, yes, my Joanne. Rather let herself go, you might say, but she was a bally corker back.
It would appear that you don't live in the most comfortable of circumstances. After all, you are a retired army man, yet you are in the business of renting out rooms. Yeah, tisk. I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid. Would that be correct?
It's not right, I tell you. I was second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment. A man has his pride, don't you know? By golly, it's a sorry thing when a chap can't even afford to have a single maid in his employ.
Yes, here in London, one is rather judged. A household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Though in my considered opinion, such concerns about appearances are folly. You mean Mr. Garrideb has his wife work as his maid? Precisely. Am I right, Mr. Garrideb?
Only in company, obviously. But listen here, this must remain a secret. Tip-top secret. Please!
The raging wife of Mr. Garrideb. Solved. Topic 2. Carpet gnawed on by the starving lion. Now, Mr. Garrideb, it is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. I mean, technically, not necessarily wrong, but not fully right either. Mr. Sholmes is quite something. He's still calling Mr. Garrideb's wife a beast.
Yes, as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable.
But Mrs. Garrideb is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, he hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he?
Oh, how true. So perhaps that supporting arm that seems to be propping up his head has some other significance then.
According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garrideb's pain is tangible, though. What could that pose of his really signify? He got slapped. Yep, slapped cheek. Supporting arm. Pipe. It was the pipe in the ballroom with Mr. Garrideb. I still want to know what that is from, though. Like, what is that actually from? Oh, candle. Duh. Yeah, because there's a candle missing there. So yeah, that candle fell. Okay, that makes sense.
Take that!
Take that! Take that! Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders. The pain you feel being revealed by that slapped cheek. And of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refuses to fade. It was you, Madame Joanne Garrideb.
Well, yes.
I love her eyes. You have been desperate to hide the slap mark on your cheek, sir.
Oh! How the blazes? How did you work that out, man?
Nothing escapes the notice of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. Oh, please, please don't drop. Okay, good. We're good. Never mind. Let's continue. That's why you haven't looked directly at us even once. To keep your other side from view.
Well,
Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. Why were you subjected to such a violent slap? In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Gerdib to fly into a rage. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it is this pile of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer.
Didn't Mr. Sholmes say that the bills were all for Lion Father? Father?
No.
Father. Yes, but now we've established that the lion never existed, which can only mean that the thing responsible for gobbling up all that food was Mr. Gerdib's wife. Mr. Naruhodo! She's a person, not a thing! Yes, well, she's also a person who gave her husband a mighty slap round the face. One so hard that it left a perfect hand mark, in fact. Yes, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder?
I'd love to know the answer to that question. Bookmark. Oh, broken plate. Never noticed the broken plate over here. Stack of books. Yeah, I think it's the broken plate. I'm really enjoying these deduction things.
Take that!
Oh, it wasn't the broken plate. The answer, of course, is breaking one of... wait, let me go back. What causes the most pain to any man? The answer, of course, is breaking one of your favorite plates. What am I going to eat my dinner off now, you cry? But no one hears your sorrow. That deduction was wanting in every way. Yes, I was wanting you to hear it. I'm quite proud of it. I find myself wanting never to have heard it. I'm quite pained by it, in fact. Oh, sorry, I'll try again. Okay, so it wasn't the broken plate. We already know what the cause of Mr. Gerdib's pain is, of course, don't we? The slap across the cheek, which left that bright red mark. Mr. Gerdib and his wife seem to share a very deep and loving bond. Perhaps, but it's said that the stronger people's feelings are, the more fiercely they react to betrayal. Sorry, kind of swallowed my spit there again. You seem to know a lot about the ways of the heart, Mr. Naruhodo. I read it in a popular novel that I borrowed from Kazuma. So we're looking for a reason why Mrs. Gerdib would have felt betrayed by her husband then. Okay, so it's not the broken plate. Oh, I see it now. It's a bookmark with a kissy note, kissy lips on it.
Take that!
Or not? What causes the most pain to any man? The answer, of course, is dropping your bookmark and losing your place. Oh, I need to read it first. Fuck. And losing your place in the book you're reading. Or worse, dropping someone else's bookmark and getting a slap for it. What precisely was your intention with that, Mr. Naruhodo? Just following the natural progression of the deduction, sometimes the truth hurts. Well, the truth is, you do not have a turn for observation or deduction. Did that hurt? Yes, a lot. Okay, yeah, I know what it is. Yeah, go through this. I needed to click on this first.
Ah, someone must be reading this book at the moment. There's a bookmark here, look. Mr. Gyarados is clearly an avid reader.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark.
Oh no, so it isn't. It's a note written in a woman's hand. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary.
And look next to the signature here.
Lip marks made with lipstick. Oh, what a passionate and romantic gesture.
Don't get any ideas, Susato-san.
Oh dear, I'm sorry.
So this bookmark is actually a love note then. Yeah, that's what I needed to do. Damn it. I forgot that I could click on things, even though I had just clicked on things prior. Sometimes the brain just stops working.
Take that!
Okay, now the love note. Yes, it is this love note that has given rise to the pain you suffer.
Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Passionate indeed. Perhaps the sender of this note, a certain Miss Mary, is the fly in the ornament here. Oh! But I don't know the Barley Woman.
You don't know her?
That note wasn't written to me. It was just in the book. I don't know how it got there. It was just in there, you say. That's right, that's what I've been saying. Oh!
A likely story.
Now listen here, Joanne, old thing. I explained at the time. I bought the book at that second-hand place, and that note must already have been in there.
So, the previous owner of the book was using the note as a bookmark, you mean?
That's right, that's what I've been saying. Oh!
A likely story.
For heaven's sake, woman, look at the name. It's written to James. My name, in case you'd forgotten, is John. Oh!
A likely story.
Are you questioning my name now?
And there we have it. Oh, I love the comedy in these games.
Arouse the suspicions of the female heart, and you unleash a beast with a most ferocious bite. Ugh. Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack.
Unimaginable? That was a little more male than female.
The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I am not mistaken.
Oh, dearie me. Oh, dearie me.
What could have caused such a destructive outburst?
Oh.
This time, madame, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes.
But surely Mrs. Gyarados didn't eat the carpet? No, of course not. But there doesn't seem to be any doubt that the state of disarray that this room is in is a result of her wild temper.
No, that's true. So this is the last part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction that we need to fix. We need only to follow Mrs. Gyarados' gaze, and that will tell us the real answer.
All right, let's see what we can see.
Yes!
Oh, jeez. I'm almost done with this, I think. Okay. So yeah, it's gonna be the candlesticks, or candlestick.
This looks like a very old candlestick, doesn't it?
The base looks too small. Surely it's very unstable. It looks to me like even the slightest knock would make it topple over.
Oh dear, that would be dangerous.
Wait, take a closer look at this. There's one candle missing.
Yes, I didn't notice that before.
Why is that, I wonder? Why is one candle of the 3 missing from its holder? The carpet here has been ripped to shreds.
Yes, and according to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, the tears match those made by an Indian lion's teeth exactly.
Oh, look here.
What is it?
If you look closely at the edge, you can see scorch marks.
Oh yes, so you can. In that case, perhaps the carpet wasn't eaten in the normal sense at all.
Let's rethink this with that in mind. Yeah, and now I present the candlestick.
Take that!
Because the candlestick toppled over and then the candle burnt up the rug.
Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need to only look at the candlestick.
Most illuminating, my dear fellow. And of course, the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth.
Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured are clearly visible.
Indeed they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away. Scorch marks? It would appear that this room was the scene of a little marital altercation.
Mrs. Garrideb's mighty arm muscles left an impression not only on her husband's face.
Damn, send him across the entire room. Holy shit. Put on the entire room. The force of a strike caused a candle to fall from the holder.
And in seconds, the carpet was alight, and the whole corner of the room in flames.
Yes, For the most ferocious beast in this world is neither a violent lion nor a vengeful woman, but fire.
And in this room, that ferocious beast bared its claws and ran amok.
Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see, there is but one conclusion here.
After the sparks of marital discord flew, this room was the scene of a fire. Ooh!
Mr. Sholmes, I salute you.
Carpet scorched by a small fire. Deduction complete.
Elementary. Elementary, my dear Watson. It's these dashed long winter nights, you know. Nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there. And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material.
For which your wife admonished you harshly, it seems.
Don't know about admonished. Demolished might be rather closer to the mark. And beast is most certainly an apt
Here we go again. And the carpet? Was that destroyed by fire when a candle fell on the floor?
Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. I was caught between the old stick's rage and the raging flames. You paint a torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining.
That's sympathy for you.
Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. We've had to hide the mess behind that screen for the time being.
Over here, Mr. Garrideb?
Well, you have nothing more to hide now, if you'll allow me. Had all of my favorite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh! Up in smoke.
Gosh.
Then the wife started hurling things at me.
What a terrible sight it must have been.
There was I, back up against the window under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books incoming 10 to the dozen. Worst of it is, I lost my favorite book called The Lion's Pride.
The Lion's Pride? Ah, yes, your notorious love of big cats coming through again.
I assure you, the title didn't influence my choice in the slightest.
So the poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of the ferocious beast's rampage.
Mr. Shum's deductions turned out to be correct once again.
It can only be described as a great British wonder.
I tell you, it was total carnage. Flames everywhere and the old stick in full fettle.
Out of interest, what time of day was that?
Not sure I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see. Around 5 o'clock, I think.
So at exactly the same time, as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street below.
Even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. The whole of Blighty could have been flattened outside my window at that moment, and I wouldn't have noticed a dashed thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, we actually see him drinking the tea. So they were not a witness. Mr. Sholmes?
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, what can I do for you?
Well, I think we've got to the bottom of Mr. Garrett situation now. But what does it have to do with Mr. Natsume's circumstances?
I can't help you there, I'm afraid.
What?
My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that although I knew the retired army man to be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secret would prove to be of relevance or not.
I just knew you were gonna say that.
Now, Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind that all things fall into one of only 2 categories, those relevant to the case and those not.
That makes no sense to me.
Well, no matter. It is of far greater importance that you make up your mind now.
Sorry?
Visiting hours at the prison will soon be over.
Oh no, is it that time already?
If we're to accept Mr. Natsume's case, we have official paperwork to attend to.
So that's it. No more time to think.
Perhaps you'd like to betake yourselves to bidding us farewell now? I must prepare supper for Mr. Garrett.
Oh yes, I'm so sorry.
Thank you both very much for your time.
Soseki-san will be waiting for us. And I'm going to have to give him an answer. Okay, so probably what I'll have to do now is I will do the I will go to the prison. It is good to know that Susato tends to have, we haven't visited this place in a while, have we? To be a hint of, you need to go here. I think we'll be here to talk to Suseki. Wait, this isn't the prison. Okay. 19th of February, Briarwood Road.
It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. We must hurry back to the prison.
Yes, I know. Let's hail a Oh. What's the matter? It looks like something's going on over there in front of the Gyarados house. Who is that?
I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers.
Who you calling old man, you rum-looking niminy-piminy?
Who are these people?
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
Who's this Horatio fellow, eh? What are you on about?
Excuse me.
Eh? What the? Who are you now?
I'm sorry, it just looked as though there might be some problem here. And my associate here, Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, is a lawyer, you see.
Eh? A lawyer? What?
If I can be of any assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I have studied English law.
Fine, I'll be on my way for today. But you mark my words. This ain't over yet.
Get thee to a nunnery.
Do I look like a bloomin' nun to you?
That was interesting.
I do hope you're not injured. Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle. Thank you.
What was that all about?
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
I'm not Horatio either.
Forgive the inquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here? In the Gyarados residence? Oh, fair Eastern maiden, no, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode.
Mr. Gyarados mentioned that he had another lodger, didn't he? This must be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives on the first floor?
Ah, yes, a gentleman named Natsume. Oh, more worthy a polemist in my battle of words near could there be.
Sorry? Battle, did you say?
Who is the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsume and I sparred long into the night.
I see.
I don't fully understand. It seems Mr. Natsume and this gentleman are acquaintances at least. So, fair maiden, so good gentleman. I can tarry here no longer. Fare thee well.
I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room. It seems he's unaware of what's happened to Mr. Natsume, so he can't really help us. Those two will be, he'll probably be a witness, and those two will be part of the second part of the second investigation, probably. With Soseki-san and that man as lodgers, the Gyarados house is certainly full of eccentrics. Anyway, I'll go and find a carriage.
Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsume is eagerly awaiting our return.
Let's hope we can get to the prison before our visiting hours are over. That was certainly interesting. Oh, what voice did I give Soseki? 19th of February, 6:31 p.m., local prison, cell 9.
I think I gave him a bit of a voice like this. Oh, it's you! You're here! You came! Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I can't believe you came back! I'm so touched!
That peaked the mic, definitely. I'm sorry about that.
We are so sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsume.
Oh, no! Think nothing of it. Relax! If I were a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nipponese.
Oh, now let's not get carried away. I'm assuming that that's the prosecutor. Oh, I quite agree. There's nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand... Oh no, it's Sholmes.
It is through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates the fact. Such is my belief, at least. It's you! The miserable, rotten spy, Herlock Sholmes!
Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here?
I have no intention of doing anything per se, save observing, of course.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home to see how our divested friend is faring. Gloomful room? At least your accommodation here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that case, it is the superior option. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight and cost me not a penny. Ah! You! How dare you, Herlock Sholmes! I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. I should never have come to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. Haunted by spirits in those accursed lodgings, no doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life is bedamned!
I'm gonna continuously peek the mic when I'm voicing this guy. I can already tell. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? He mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodgings were cursed, I mean. And there is much truth in Mr. Mustache's words. What?
Cursed is a wholly appropriate description, I would say, for the men's lodgings, and indeed for tomorrow's trial.
What's that supposed to mean? Cursed trial. Mr. Natsume, what did you mean by what you said just now? About the trial tomorrow being cursed?
Oh no, why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. I was just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it.
Oh, I see. That's really agitated him.
You don't mean the trial really is cursed somehow?
Are you referring to the prosecutor? The Reaper of the Bailey?
The Reaper? Oh no, what do you mean? Please, tell me, summarize it succinctly in 16 salient words.
Sorry, all these gruffy voices is starting to go a little hard on my throat, but I think I'm almost done with part 2. So then I can actually upload 2 episodes for this on my main channel. So I want to finish this. But let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. No defendant has ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution ever.
Oh my goodness, can it really be true? That was 16 words exactly.
Yesterday, Mr. Naruhodo successfully defended someone against the Reaper. But then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances. Mr. McGill did.
What? I am impressed, Mr. Sato. You have an eye for detail.
Actually, the Lord Chief Justice told us. Mr. Sholmes. Surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zieks killed the man himself. Oh no, he couldn't have, surely.
You have some wonderful notions.
Sorry?
The man isn't a mass murderer. He's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow.
Oh, yes. Why, of course he is.
Ah, of course he is. Then why are you trying to scare me? It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis.
What on earth do you mean by that? The Reaper.
Reaper. Death surrounds me.
That Reaper.
Van Zieks is a quite exceptional man. However, in London courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every course without exception. That's good.
Soseki-san looks like he's going to cry tears of joy.
As you are no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial, there is both a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers public opinion and common sense. It is an excellent system whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion in particular is somewhat easily manipulated.
Right.
Criminals, and corrupt lawyers for that matter, can use it to their advantage. By any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling impostors as witnesses, and so on. By such underhanded means, those who would want to are able to sway the jury. Which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail.
But it means the wrong verdict can be passed.
And sadly, as from time to time, my dear madame, it is simply the reality of the situation.
And that's all right?
However, those indicted by Lord Van Zieks cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed.
Oh my!
Though the adjudication may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months they all disappear. It is most striking. Disappear? But how? By all manners of misfortune, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by a raging fever, or perhaps attacked by highwaymen. Oh, no. All examples of the reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Naruto. I knew it. I'm dead. Dodo, done for, doomed.
Oh, doing Soseki's voice and Sholmes' voice is really starting to mess up my throat, so hopefully this is the end of part 2. Cursed Lodgings. When you said a cursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Garrett's house, I assume. Do you mean to say that you believe the place is cursed?
It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain, but I'd only been in London a week before I started to notice strange feelings in myself.
That didn't take long then.
Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure of people who were talking about me. I started to become nervous about going outside. They were always staring at me, all the time, from dawn till dusk. So I shut myself away in my room, but even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away.
You must have been very lonely, having been away from your homeland for such a long time.
I've had to move a number of times, most recently to that room on Briarwood a week ago now.
Yes, why did you choose there? It seems a little inconvenient.
The rent is cheap. I have so little money, it appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. The landlord just simpered and said, "The room is cursed." Oops. He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late. So I told him, "If you have something to say, then say it. But if not, don't mention it in the first place."
Yes, well said.
But it was true. It was all true.
You mean the room really is cursed then?
Ever since I moved into that windowless hellhole, my sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I'm being choked to death. And in my waking hours, people are stabbed in front of me as I walk down the streets. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits. If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Can no one find it in his or her heart to believe in me? Really, no one at all.
To believe. Yes, to believe. Mr. Sholmes?
Ah, me, Mr. Naruto. Pray, what can I do for you?
It's about the case on the SS Birdia, if you recall.
The Birdia. Ah, that case. The one with the snake.
Well, yes. At that time, I was a suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story, and you helped us to investigate.
I did I? Interesting.
What I want to know is why? Why did you believe in me? Or why did you believe me?
I see, yes. You mean... because you were a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with the victim in a locked room.
Well, if you like, yes.
I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple, really. You said I didn't do it.
But I could have been lying. Surely you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little.
I think perhaps you have misunderstood. I never recall believing in you, knowing that which you were telling me.
What?
You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in.
What? What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. The circumstances can hang as far as I am concerned.
But I could have betrayed your trust.
In that case, I should have made an elementary error of judgment, nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse, in my opinion.
Meaning?
Whether or not one should trust another is, in the final analysis, down to oneself. It is a matter of whether or not you can whether or not one can trust oneself. Yes, he's right. He's right, locum student Mr. Naruto Esquire.
Whether or not I can believe myself. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. You were so right, Kazuma.
Well, my dear fellows, it is time we were leaving, I believe.
Already?
Visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. There is a restaurant near here that serves excellent draught. Would you care to join me?
Oh dear. There is never enough time, is there? Mr. Natsume, if you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you.
Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
As I said, I only experienced a British courtroom for the first time yesterday. And although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial.
Something crucial?
What to believe in, the defendant, justice, or the truth. How to believe, even. But I think I finally worked it out. I've decided I must believe in myself above all else, to trust my instincts. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. And my instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsume, are innocent of this crime. And it's imperative that we prove that in court.
Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
I will fight for your innocence until the bitter end, with every weapon available to me. So I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow.
As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me in my native tongue.
Of course, Mr. Natsume.
It would be fair to say, Mr. Naruhodo, that your mind was, in many ways, made up from the outset. You merely needed the events of today to fully realize it.
Yes, I think you're right about that. It's been a roundabout journey, but I got there in the end. Mr. Sato. Yes? Would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court? Absolutely! As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant. Yep, and that's the end. The shocking events of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind. But it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me, and Mr. Sholmes believes in me now too. So it's time that I learn to believe in myself. Soseki-san has no one. He's all alone. So it's my job to help him, to fight his corner. Tomorrow, in the courtroom, with all the strength I can muster. To be continued. Save my current progress. Overwrite the save file. And now it's trial part 1.